Wow. LSU with the big 49-21 victory over Central Michigan. Some sacks, everything you should expect from LSU in a game like this. But we'll get into that in just 1 second. 1 second. We'll wait for everybody to get in here. Get your drinks, get your beverages, get your food, everything, because we're gonna have a good time.
Get your drinks.
LSU, we finally allowed Max Johnson to run the offense at his tempo. And what do you know? LSU looked fantastic. LSU's offense were firing on all cylinders. It looked like, Jeray Jenkins was taken out of that starting lineup and inserted instead of him was Deion Smith. And Deion Smith broke out in the biggest way possible. Just 5 catches, 135 yards. He caught his first 4 catches. His first 5 targets were all caught for 15-plus yards, all first downs, including the 40-yard long touchdown. And then his other fantastic touchdown, 27-yard average. Deion was incredible. 6 targets. Caught his first 5 targets. First for all 5 for touchdowns, 20-plus yard, third down catch as well. Gains of 10-plus yards. He had 2 gains of 20-plus yards, 3. He was 2 for 68 and 2 touchdowns just inside the first quarter. Jack Besh, 8 targets total, gains of 10, 3, first downs, 3, gains of 20-plus. He had 1 for that touchdown. Brilliant one-handed, bring it into the just bring it into the breadbasket. His first ever LSU touchdown. It was a fantastic piece of footage there watching that catch. I mean, are you kidding me? Jack Besh, brilliant there. Fantastic for his first ever catch. So you had these 2 freshmen. You had Deion Smith, who we didn't see for the UCLA game. Certain reasons I won't go into here, but he wasn't out there for the UCLA game, and he's back, and he announces himself. 5 catches, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance. Last week we saw him catch a few balls, including a third down pass as well. And so, you saw those flashes of what he's capable of. We've been writing about it all offseason, all throughout his senior year and at Jackson Academy, and he was fantastic until, sadly, his senior year was cut short due to his injury. And that injury didn't really even slow him down that much throughout spring and into fall camp. He just seemed to excel just higher and higher. And so given the responsibility, given the targets, he showed up big time, and I knew he was capable of this. A lot of people did. My buddy A. Diesel, I think Deion is his favorite receiver of the freshman 5 and one he has been touting the most. And my man A. Diesel was very happy man tonight. And Jack Besh hauling in his first ever LSU touchdown, just big time. And, Kayshon Boutte, he got banged up, but, hey, they targeted him early. He had 3 quick targets on that first drive alone. 8 targets total, 6 first downs that he earned. That was Jack Besh. My bad, reading the wrong stat. 8 targets, 3 gains of 10-plus yards, 3 first downs for Boutte, 1 third down catch, 2 on the jet sweeps. But he dropped a touchdown as well. But then, of course, he scored yet another touchdown. Now he leads college football with 6 touchdowns. Kayshon Boutte, what can you say? 6 for 44, but he was mostly rested for the game. He seemed to get a little banged up. He seemed to, like, his ankle was hurting. I hate to speculate on that. I don't even want to venture into that territory because I hope he's okay, and I hope it's totally just precautionary. Pull him out of the game, make sure he's all good. But, the receivers, they showed up big time. Even Brian Thomas with 2 catches, 50 yards, including that long 41-yard right down the sideline catch. Coy Moore as well with 2 for 39. Devontae Lee catches his first ever LSU touchdown, 5 for 47. Lee with 6 targets his way, a few for 9 yards, but then he had 2 first downs, and then 1 drop from a Garrett Nussmeier throw. But overall, a great showing from Devontae Lee, 9.4 per catch, and as I said, he did score a touchdown, had a 21-yard long reception as well. So you're seeing guys, Malik Neighbors even come off the bench with that sick diving touchdown. I mean, not diving touchdown, diving catch near the sideline for only 6 yards, I think it was. But it was still it was like a nothing play where Max just threw it out of bounds. He was being pressured. But he gave Malik at least somewhat of a chance, and Malik just dives, leaves it all on the line, hauls it in. Only 6 yards, wasn't really a play of consequence, but it told me a lot about Malik. It was just these receivers were out to prove something, and damn, didn't they? Jack Besh went 81 yards, 5 catches, 16.2 per catch, a 31-yard long one as well, 20-yard touchdown. But you just see some guys stepping up, and it's great to see. But really, the story of the offense has to be Max Johnson. Incredible command from Max Johnson. 18 first down completions out of 26 overall completions. 26 of 35, 372, 10.6 per attempt, 5 touchdown passes. Fantastic to see. All 5 of his starts have been games where he's thrown 3+ touchdowns. He did throw the pick 6, but had he stayed in there, I'm sure he would have been able to rack up even more yards. But it was time for Nussmeier to go in there and show what he's got. Corey Kiner went in, and little by little, just gradually over the course of the game, started gaining more reps, and he went 12 for 74 by the end of it, 6.2 yards per carry. You saw him stiff-arming people to the ground. It just, follow me at Lon Phillips on my Twitter. You will see all sorts of clips from tonight's game, exactly what I'm referring to. Some of it is just unreal. You're talking about Corey Kiner just rejecting people, just completely stiff-arming a guy into next Saturday, just next Wednesday. As the commentator said, he's just going out there to take away people's careers, I believe is what he said. He's going out to embarrass people. He's just running with such savage violence and integrity and intensity and terminal velocity that you just can't help but absolutely love what you're seeing from Corey Kiner, the Ohio, former Mr. Football in Ohio, Cincinnati native. He, Spencer Ware, LSU's glorious running back, Spencer Ware, Tiger legend, kind of took Corey under his wing in the offseason and kind of showed him the ropes of what he should experience at LSU and what he should try to accomplish there. And I think he's taken that advice, and he has just hit the ground running. There's an opportunity. There's a window. Armani Goodwin's out. We don't seem to really know how to run the ball with Ty Davis-Price. We don't really seem to call the right plays whenever he's been out there. And then John Emery Jr., I think he'll probably be coming back in the next few games from what I'm hearing. I think John Emery Jr. should be coming back. And then you got Trey Bradford. I think he's still ineligible, but I'm not sure about that. He just was not there tonight. Yeah, it was a good showing from LSU. It was everything you want to see, but at the same time, you did see us allow some points to Central Michigan that were just ugly plays. The pick six seemed to be a miscommunication between Max and the receiver. I think it's Coy Moore, and just bad pick six there. But the touchdown at the end there on the second team defense, Darren Evans, Jordan Toll, some of those guys giving up a big play there. Bunch of guys in the area, but just completely going the wrong way, and then they just score. It was a bad play. Then Major Burns got sucked inside, and the guy just went completely, on the outside for the touchdown to start the game as well. Just some bad miscommunication there as well. You never want to be giving up 21 points to Central Michigan. I do like that we gave up 49. I gave up 40. I do like that we scored 49. I do, but giving up 21 points to Central Michigan should never happen. I get that it's 14 on the defense, really, but still. But as for the defense itself, what I really loved to see was the tone set by Derek Stingley Jr. Smashing that dude, causing that fumble. Andre Anthony, scoop and score before you can even open your eyes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was a hell of a way to set the tone for the defense and how you start that game. It's just what you want to see from your leader, like Derek Stingley Jr. Great play. He had some big hits throughout the game. He had 2 big hits just on the opening drive. 3 targets went his way, 0 catches allowed. He had a sick solo tackle on the edge. 1 flag went his way again. 2 flags now this season on my man Sting. But there were sacks all over. Jaquelin Roy had a sack. Jarrell Cherry had a sack off the bench. Mason Smith and Desmond Little combined for a sack together. B.J. Ojolari led the way with 2 sacks, and a third that looked very close, where he pressured the quarterback, smashed the dude out of bounds. But you saw some high octane. Even Damone Clark had 1 pressure and 1 quarterback hit, but there was a lot of pressures going along. Jacobian Guillory, 3 pressures, 1 tackle for loss. There was a lot of tackles for loss as well. I think it was like 16 or something that we had. It was a ton. Jaquelin Roy had some pressures. He ended up with a sack. Yo, Jamer's in the house. What's up, Jamer? How you doing? What'd you think about that game? What'd you think about that game, Jamer? Because I know that, I don't know what it tells me about LSU, but it tells me that LSU's in a good place right now. That they needed to overcome what had happened to them with UCLA, and then they needed to kind of. Jamer says, I think you were spot on. We should not have allowed that kind of scoring. Yeah. The big mistake by Major Burns, he did have that sick interception. So take nothing away from his performance. We saw an improved performance from Major Burns, but still he did allow that touchdown with just that blown coverage. He just kept turning inside and just kept going instead of just sticking into his zone and staying into that zone where just a too high safety zone. And he just turns inside, keeps following, and just, I don't know what that was, Jamer, but the pick six, it is what it is. Max made a bad read there, and Coy Moore probably should have continued his route, didn't, or, it could have been all on Max, whatever it is. Shouldn't have happened. But once again, I think we saw something special, seeing 5 touchdowns from Max. The coming of age with Deion Smith. I think we saw some good things from LSU. Devontae Lee catching a touchdown was big. Jack Besh announcing himself. LSUodyssey.com, we had an article this week that we wrote about how Jack Besh seemed to be the next freshman breakout. And yes, he did. He exploded. 5 catches, 81 yards. We predicted that he'd have 2 touchdowns. No, he only finished with 1, but still, that one was absolutely sick. Just catching it over his body, just right over the defender, just sick, right in the back of the end zone. It was a good night. It was a good night overall for LSU's defense. The front was making some plays, a lot of tackles for loss. At one point, we were only allowing like 0.7 rushing yards per attempt to Central Michigan in the third quarter. But by the end of it, Central Michigan went 31 carries, 56 yards, 1.8 average. That's what you want to see from a struggling LSU rushing defense. That's what you need to see. Those guys are making some great tackles in there. Hopefully the defensive stats will be released at some point. Trying to find me some right now because there was a lot of tackles going down. I did map the sacks because I didn't want to wait for that. Neil Farrell Jr. had some fantastic plays in the backfield. I counted at least 4 awesome backfield disturbances, chaos, including at least 2 or 3 tackles for loss and 1 quarterback pressure. He was all over the place. He was right in their face on almost every play. Jacob Sermon didn't have much going down for him. Andre Anthony, before his injury, which I hope is nothing serious, scoop and score defensive touchdown. When Stingley pops that guy and that you create that fumble and your defense scores that touchdown right after a quick striking start by the offense, you're suddenly up 14-0 before the other team can blink. That was the recipe for victory for the 2019 team. This team, I believe, is actually capable of replicating at least the pace of that type of scoring. If our defense can make those type of plays at least every other game. And it's not asking for much when you have a star-studded team full of guys that can definitely make those plays. Eli Ricks. Eli Ricks, he was shut down today. He only had it, let's see, I have, of course, mapped out 2 targets went his way, 0 completions allowed, and then he had 1 sick hit in the backfield with Neil Farrell Jr., where it was almost a safety, just pinning Central Michigan clear into the back. There was some good stuff going down. Jamer says, let's see here. Kiner and Besh are fire. Yes. Jamer, Corey Kiner's touchdown where he does the spin move, Jamer. Oh my God. That's what the rushing game needs. And then the offensive line failed him on a few of those carries, but he was able to dance his way. He's able to shove guys down. And that's what the running game needs right now is a creative force. And hopefully it can kind of push the other guys into upping their game, upping their level so they can match his. Because Corey Kiner right now, he's running like he could be the number 1 running back. That's a very serious reality for some of those veteran guys who need to step it up. Jamer also says Corey and Besh are on fire. Jack Besh, I mean, he's just delivering it. Jamer also says, I'm happy to see Nussmeier in there. Nussmeier, he didn't go running around like he did against McNeese, but he was still making some good throws, making some good plays. It was more of a settled performance from him. Some guys made some good catches. I think Coy Moore had a nice catch from him. Devontae Lee, I think, dropped one of his passes. And that's kind of the thing is it's hard to judge, but it's good to see him getting the snaps. That's really what it's about. And Jamer says that spin was incredible. Clyde Edwards-Helaire-like. Yes. That's a great comparison because that's exactly what he did. He used the defender's momentum against him, pulled him inside, boom, spun him around. I mean, Corey Kiner is disgusting. I remember telling people I think he can pull these moves off even as a freshman, and people just laughing at me. People are just mocking me, and they look foolish now. I'm glad I wrote the articles the way I did because I really believed that if given the opportunity, if need be, I didn't really anticipate this clear of a path to the field for Corey. I mean, with Ty Davis Price, John Emery Jr., you don't really anticipate such a clear path to the field. Then you even have Armani Goodwin. You got Josh Williams. Now you got Trey Bradford, who was on the roster before, as we expected, but now he left. Now he's back again. That's a lot of competition. But some of these guys have played themselves out of the role or aren't available for whatever reasons, and now, or just because of play calling, there's just not room for certain guys or just whatever. But Corey Kiner has just come on in and he's taken advantage of the opportunity. Jam also says, yes, Nussmeier needs the snaps. Yeah, he needs the snaps. It was interesting because I was saying to Brad Johnson, I want to see Max put up 8 touchdowns. I want to see him just, why are they taking him out? And Brad, was actually like, no, it's the right thing to do. You got to put Nuss in. And it was like, wow. The parent of the starting quarterback is like, yeah, we need to do that. Agrees with it. That showed me a lot, and that told me a lot about not only that man's character, but also what it was the right thing for LSU to do. I kind of wanted to see Max be able to have a drive or two to respond to the interception for a touchdown and just kind of finish the game with another sixth touchdown, which I believe would have been able to happen. But it's better to keep him healthy as well. He took a few unnecessary shots. It wasn't very much because, we're paying attention to all the crazy plays LSU are making down the field for once. But if you go back and inevitably roll back the tape, you'll see Max Johnson getting hit low on a few of these plays, getting hit up high. I feel like Xavier Hill, Scooter at left tackle, I think he had a solid performance. There was one blown assignment by him where he let Max get hit in the end zone that was very dangerous. But other than that, very solid from the very young, very just kind of thrown into the fire Xavier Hill. But here's the thing I want you to all know about Xavier Hill. He is a young man who, even though he's a utility offensive lineman who's been used in the guard positions, has been even talked about as being a potential center candidate for LSU, he actually prefers and desires and wants to play left tackle. That's his dream position. So getting this chance is like a dream for him. I'm very tight with his father, William. Very, very, very solid, awesome dude. Is as cool, as good as you can be as a guy, as great as they come. Shout out to my man William. He's the man. I know he's loving seeing his son go out there and play that position, which before the season, he was telling me was Scooter's, position of preference. And we definitely made sure to write that in Xavier Hill's profile, 2021 profile there on LSUodyssey.com. It definitely talks about how he would play left tackle. And we do mention him as a left tackle candidate for Brad Davis when news broke that Dari Rosenthal had transferred to Kentucky. So we've been on top of the move of Xavier Hill potentially being that left tackle. Before, everyone's talking about Garrett Dellinger being out there, and sure, but Garrett Dellinger, the truth is Garrett Dellinger had a bad injury, and we are kind of rushing him back. And his strain that he had in the warm-up was proof of that. And so you see him getting some reps here and there, but for the most part, they are kind of letting him gradually come back. Xavier Hill, I was pleased with his performance at left tackle. But still, there was some blown stuff across the board from our guys. Austin Deculus at right tackle. Jamer, you were saying he was fired up. I thought Deculus had just one or two mistakes. For the most part, was clean. It was kind of our interior guys that got pushed around. Liam Shanahan allowed some bad stuff up the gut. Overall, not too many hits on Max. Let's look at the numbers. I'm not remembering more than at least 5 or 6 total hits, and I don't think there was too many sacks. Of course, the defensive numbers aren't up yet, which is really stupid. I don't know what's going on, why they can't. Are they just making them up as they go along? Do they forget to tally them? I'm not going to start having to tally the tackles numbers on, am I? But that is still a sexy stat line for Max. 26 for 35, 372, 10.6 average, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception though. And then your Corey Kiner, you're sleeping very good tonight, knowing that you went 12 for 74, 6.2, 1 touchdown, your second straight touchdown. And then not only that, but man, you're stiff-arming people. You're spinning past people. You're pulling off the same damn stuff you did just a year ago. I know his mom is loving it. Deneen, shout out to you. She's loving it. She's probably having a great time with her family watching that performance. All around, some freshman standouts. Even Josh Williams, he only had 2 carries, but he went for 15 yards, 7.5 as well. So Josh Williams, he even had a 10-yard long burst. So even Josh Williams showed out here. Still, TDP, 6 carries for 4 yards, a 5-yard long one, and then there's a few that just kind of went nowhere up the gut. Why do we keep running him up the middle? And there's a few play calls where we're just running Corey Kiner up, just straight up the gut, and then he would turn it outside and make something happen. But, if you want Ty to make something happen, stretch the play, do something, get our offensive line already in movement outside. I just see us running up the gut with TDP. I don't understand why we're failing with our play calling when it comes to Ty. It just seems weird. I don't understand how, okay, now we'll run it outside with a different running back. They need to actually test their guys' capabilities. I feel like some of these guys, they don't really understand their capabilities until they pull this stuff off in games and prove it to them finally. But they usually have to do that with some attrition against the grain. They usually have to do it through play calling that's not favorable for them. And then they finally get that little bit of a leash, a little bit of finally some slack, and then they can finally get those correct play calls for them. But I want to see that same LSU tempo throughout this season for the rest of this season. Do not let up. This team needs to be high octane, on fire, nonstop, always. I mean, why the hell would we have been so slow against UCLA? I do not understand it. And we saw it again tonight. Once we started going slow and we did the check with me offense where Max is looking at everything and then he goes and has to look over the sideline and they're changing the play again. Just go and run the plays. Have them be these short little dink and dunk passes. Start with some outside runs, some bootlegs, get Max moving out of the pocket. Then maybe you can put in the deep shots, mix in the RPO action. But start it with the slants, the hitches, the screens, the crossing routes. Start it with the RPO action. I liked what I saw tonight. LSU were manipulating Central Michigan's linebackers, manipulating the mic, manipulating the safeties. I love the way Max was looking off the safeties tonight on the deep ball, even if it went incomplete. There were some passes that were 50-50 that our receivers still need to haul in. I know there was a great showing, a better showing from our receivers tonight. I'm not trying to crucify them for that. But they have to haul in more of those 50-50 balls. They have to. Just have to. There was one actually where Dre Jenkins actually just straight up quit on the route. Garrett Nussmeier threw it. It was kind of a crazy pass. He was under incredible pressure, getting blown up. But at the same time, Dre kind of just slowed down for some reason. Just kind of stopped moving on the route. I don't get what's going on with Dre Jenkins. He seemed to play himself, drop himself out of contention. We'll see if he can get it together, but the veteran is slipping right now. And guys like Deion Smith, Jack Besh, forget about putting Jack Besh as a tight end. That's gone. I told you this before the season. This guy's in a tight end. He's a receiver. And he just keeps proving it play by play by play by play. And now Jake Peetz has no choice. He has no recourse but to line him up as a receiver. And you're seeing what's happening when you do that. Jack Besh is absolutely torching people. I mean, there's a great play where Max is very patient. No one's there. And he just goes through his progressions very quickly. And then he finds Besh right where I had seen it. I was like, okay, Jack's open. Hopefully Max can pick him out. Yes, Max picks him out. Boom. But he bullets that pass, bullets the blue sky, to quote U2, one of their great heavier songs. And he burns him. Jack Besh burns him for the first down, a few more yards. Almost every pass that Jack Besh caught tonight was a first down. 5 catches tonight, 81 yards. He had 5 first downs tonight, according to my numbers here. So I charted 8 targets, 5 first downs. He prevented an interception, a pass that was kind of Besh raised his hand. He wasn't quite open. Max chucked it up. Besh was slightly in contention for it, but behind the DB. And so Besh he did what he could to prevent the interception. I love to see that. It's a little thing, but if you're a football player, you notice that type of stuff, or if you ever at least played the game, which I have, you notice that type of stuff, and it's a sign of like what type of a player they are. And I love that to see that fight from Besh. Like, I'm always open. Oh shit. No, I'm not. Oh, okay. Well, I got to do something to help out my quarterback here for trusting in me. And he just comes over and he bashes the guy from underneath, jars that ball loose from even becoming an interception. Just wondrous from Jack Besh. What a performance. That's 3 straight performances. He only got 1 pass, one catch, 16 yards for his debut against UCLA, only 2 targets. And you saw LSU look dysfunctional on offense. Now you've seen 2 straight games where Jack Besh has been fed the ball a lot more. You see LSU winning games. I get that it's against weaker opponents, but we should have beaten UCLA. But once again, Jack Besh not getting the ball against UCLA wasn't the reason we lost that game. We lost against UCLA because we sucked in the trenches. Tonight, we were a lot better in the trenches. You saw guys who weren't quitting easily, who were getting blocks up to the second level at times on a few runs. Most of these successful runs were just purely running back created, though. That's the same. Our offensive line is never going to get past some of their problems this season. You're just going to have to accept that. We're not going to have a habitual 100-yard rusher. I mean, I expected just through talent and just an average offensive line this season, or just a slightly below average offensive line with above average individual talent, that we would be able to get that type of a push. But we're not going to be able to do that type of stuff this season. We're just not. Shout out to my man Jake, Juker Jake. He was at the game cheering on his brother tonight. He was going 4-0 with his Oconee Warriors the other night. As they're hunting for a third straight trip to state title game. What does this win mean for LSU in the grand scheme of things? What does this mean for LSU going forward into the SEC schedule? Does this mean LSU are on track, that LSU are now just totally going to be fine?
As a chef, people think I'm a
totally going to be, back to their old selves, dominant, 4 or 5 touchdown passes from Max a game, scoring 40-plus points a game on every opponent in the SEC. What is it? Is that what we're looking at? I know what I think, but I want to hear from some of these people. Is this what LSU is? Is this where LSU is headed? High octane success, where UCLA was just a complete hiccup. Was UCLA just a hiccup?
T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Sorry, I gotta mute this tab.
First by
God. I'm not sure. Let's check out these comments. Jamer says they showed market improvement but have more to do. Yeah, I don't know. Going into the SEC schedule, this is a very intriguing team. This is going to be very fun to watch because this can go so many different ways for LSU. It can go very, very south because of that offensive line. It can go downhill very quickly. Or that offensive line can figure it out just enough to give Max Johnson just enough time to make some of these sick-ass throws. Our play calling will be hopefully a lot more crisper, a lot more philosophically sound with the high octane, pedal to the metal offensive tempo that we're running tonight. And the defense can hopefully continue to be stout against the run and can hopefully continue to create these sacks, these tackles for loss. I believe this is our second straight game with 15-plus tackles for loss. We got to keep that going. The interception by Major Burns was awesome. We got to keep the interceptions coming in. The fumbles, the forced fumble by Stingley, the defensive touchdown, first defensive touchdown of the year. We got to get more of those. This defense still has some big mistakes in them, though. They still allowed some big chunk yards to Central Michigan. Let's see here. Central Michigan still had a 78-yard catch, 78-yard touchdown catch on LSU. Unacceptable. We still allowed 5 guys to make a catch of 10-plus yards. They rushed for only 56 yards, 1.8 yard. That was fantastic. But 228 total yards passing against us. 25 completions, 2 touchdowns, of course, the interception. That is pretty sloppy. That's probably a lot of the second team guys, but at the same time, it's still sloppy. It still shows that we cannot really cover that crossing route when it comes down to it. Still can't really cover tight ends. Central Michigan are just not a type of team that's going to be able to exploit that against LSU on a routine game-to-game basis. But others will be. I know Alabama suffered tonight. There's a lot of clues, a lot of detail there in that Florida game of how to beat Alabama this season. And a lot of it has to do with how weak they are in the trenches. Can LSU improve enough to expose that? I think the defensive line can. You saw veteran guys like Neil Farrell Jr. just being awesome. You saw, I guess, like Jacobian Guillory, Mason Smith being hungry as hell, Jaquelin Roy, B.J. Ojolari with 2 more sacks, Andre Anthony with a defensive touchdown, some more pressures. If our defensive line can continue that high-octane improvement, play up to their abilities, but then if our offensive line can also just match that, even just play beyond their maximum, just reach deep in themselves, because Max is going to take some big hits. Can we just limit those? Can we just find a way to navigate the SEC without allowing our starter to go down with an injury? Can we, I'm worried about our running backs behind this offensive line. But how many games will LSU lose in the SEC? I'm going to ask you all right now, whoever's watching. I don't even know how many people are watching right now. It doesn't really matter to me. But anyone who is, how many wins are LSU? How many losses? What's going to be our record in the SEC this season? 4, says Paul. What do you mean by that? 4 losses or 4 wins? Paul Malone. What's up, Paul? It's Saturday night, Paul. I guess Paul said, 4 losses. Paul says 4 losses. Okay, so I'm thinking you're saying Alabama. You might be saying Florida. Who else? Paul Malone, ladies and gentlemen. Jamer, it's going to be tough. I know that much. Yeah. Oh, wow. Paul Malone says we're going to lose to Ole Miss. That's a popular opinion. We have allowed over 300 yards rushing to that team the last 2 seasons. Over 300 yards rushing to Ole Miss the last 2 seasons. Y'all, we need to start. I love what I saw tonight as far as rush defense. It was great. I just hope we can keep that going against the better opponents. I just hope LSU can keep that going. Don't count out in Kentucky. Yeah, Jamer says don't count out Kentucky. In my season predictions piece before the season, on the eve of the UCLA game, we released it on LSUOdyssey.com. We actually predicted 2 losses for LSU, and one of them was to Kentucky. We predicted a nail biter, a 27-21 nail biter, I believe. So yeah, Jamer, right on there with Kentucky. That's a team I'm very worried about matchup wise. Paul Malone says they're probably second best in the West. Yeah, Ole Miss. That's probably true. I haven't seen some of the scores from tonight. I'll bring them up here real quick. Yeah, Ole Miss beating up on Tulane. Well, only by 19. That's kind of. I mean, that's the thing that you're always going to find with Ole Miss is their defense. You can score on them, so it's going to be a track meet. So if it's going to be a track meet, LSU always have a chance there. Eli Ricks has another interception for a touchdown, something like that. Derek Stingley has a pick six, something like that. Our defense makes a few plays. I back us to win that game if our offense is firing on all cylinders like it was tonight. But that. It seems like it might be too much to ask for. I hope it isn't, but just give Max Johnson the key to the car like you did tonight and let him run the damn offense. Just complete acceleration, pedal to the metal. Just let him instinctually call the plays and bam. I was trying to tally the pressures, the stats, make social media posts to try and show what LSU is doing and how awesome this was. And, man, it was so hard to keep up with what was going on in the game. So I was pausing it so much and waiting until commercial breaks to go back and rewind. And so I would have to fast forward through commercials and fast forward through halftime, and it was crazy. But we tried to just sit back and relax and watch the game, and I believe we were able to do that. But we also wanted to really understand some of the defensive aspects, especially, and count some of those pressures and stuff like that. It was a very interesting game because you saw LSU making plays all over the field that we haven't seen them make in a while. There's just so many catches going down. There's so many big, huge plays in the running game as well with Corey Kiner and stiff arms, the spin moves. You saw Deion Smith just coming of age. There was just some great plays. 5 touchdowns. The Andre Anthony scoop and score, the Stingley smash. LSU still, though, 114 yards gained rushing. Only 3.5 per rush for the Tigers. It's still 400 yards passing. That's a fantastic stat. But the rushing yards, it's still just Central Michigan. That's a team LSU traditionally are running for over 200 on. I get we can't really ask for that, but 160, 150, something like that. Barely getting 114 because they were tired at the end of the game. Central Michigan, that's come on, guys. But let's hope we can see some defensive statistics here in this I've got. Yep, I think we got some here. Yep. So, no surprise here. Damone Clark, for the 3rd straight game, leads the team in tackles, 6 tackles. B.J. Ojulari had 2.5 sacks. Jarrell Cherry has his sack, as we said before. Jacobian Guillory and Desmond Little both had that half sack. So Mason Smith didn't credit for that, even though probably should have. LSU had 5 sacks. 5 sacks on the night. Jaquelin Roy also chips in with a half sack. I just give him the full sack there for me. I don't know why. Completely met Sermon right there and just ripped him to the ground from the front. LSU with 15 tackles for loss. B.J. Ojulari with 2.5. Neil Farrell Jr. 1.5. He was dominant tonight, as I said. Micah Baskerville 1.5. It felt like way more than 1.5 from Baskerville. Baskerville made at least 5 or 6 plays in the backfield. Just was all over the place. Let's see for Derek Stingley Jr. This is the 3rd straight game where Derek Stingley Jr. has at least one big, awesome, sick tackle for loss. That's a stat worth pointing out. Third straight game where Stingley, a corner, always isolated, the ball never usually comes his way. Well, teams are going to run at him and see what they can do. And can he tackle? God, yeah, he can tackle. If you watch the 2020 tape especially, he's making touchdown-saving tackles all over the place for LSU. And this season, he's made some just breathtaking, show-stopping tackles. He's had some missed tackles in space. I'm not going to lie about that. But overall, Stingley has shown just to be absolutely sick and brilliant off the edge. Of course, the sick forced fumble, but 1.5 tackles for loss for Derek Stingley, 4 total tackles, forced fumble, of course. Just a hell of a performance, tone setting, leadership all over the place. Great to see. Only 1 pass breakup for the whole team for LSU. That goes to Ray Darius Jones. That's an interesting stat there. Only 1 quarterback hit they're counting, and that goes to my man Savion Jones at the end of the game. I saw that. I think it was on Richardson. Savion Jones chases him right towards the sideline. Just gives him a licking. Just gives him a wallop. That was beautiful. Savion Jones, 35, gets some action and gets his first quarterback hit, gets a solo tackle. Great to see from him. Jamer says, I felt like the time getting the play call out to Max and the play clock ticking down needs work. Les Miles, yeah, there's some times it was. And Jamer says, and I don't think it's Max. No, I think it's let's be honest. Jake Peetz has never called plays in a game until this season. I think this is Jake Peetz figuring it out. I think that's why you saw such a craziness against UCLA. In fact, if you think about all of the duress with the play calling and the miscommunications and all that was going down, against UCLA, it was probably pretty nuts that Max Johnson actually threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But still, we got to get that shit fixed, or we're going to lose a lot of games in the SEC. I think LSU probably could still – I want to say it, but I don't really want to because I don't want to seem like I'm a homer. But I think LSU only lose 2 games in the SEC. I think LSU narrowly lose to Kentucky. And then LSU lose to another team, but it won't be Alabama. I'm just going to say that. So, sorry, my nose is itching really bad. Got to get it. So I really feel like LSU has the tools to beat an Alabama team this year, this Alabama team. I think we have the defensive line to do it, to pressure Bryce Young, to really rattle his cage. If Florida could, Florida has a very improved defense, as you saw today, than what they had last year, of course. But they made the necessary hires on defense. But at the same time, LSU, this defensive line they're going from strength to strength. And I think once we get guys like Ali Gay back, I think there's going to be some magic there. Jay Ward, when we get Jay Ward back, this defense could go back to being something special, being something lights out like we saw in those first drives against UCLA. Who knows what would have happened had Jay Ward stayed in that game? Jay Ward could have absolutely, hey, guys, we need to get this shit together, and would have gotten people to really figure it out. But we'll never know. That's the thing about football. People think, one player doesn't make that big of a difference. One guy makes all the difference. Everyone who's ever played the game knows that. If one guy messes up, the whole thing goes to crap. If one guy doesn't do his job, everything goes to. So what you saw tonight from LSU, for the most part, except for a few of these busts, which led directly to touchdowns, sadly, but very tellingly as well. LSU showed a lot of gumption, showed a lot of badass brutality out there tonight. 15 tackles for loss for the second straight game. 16 last week, 15 tonight, 5 sacks tonight, 8 last week. So that's 13 sacks and 29 tackles for loss in the last 2 games alone for this LSU front. I get that it's easy pickings against these low-level non-conference teams from these Southland Conference, MAC Conference. I get it. But LSU needed these games bad. I mean, we even got reps from Dwight McLaughlin in there at the end of the game. He's been out since the end of fall camp. We've needed him to get some reps and get in there. And so it was great for him to get some reps. We saw Ray Darius Jones have the pass breakup. We saw Pig Cage involved in a few plays, a forced incompletion that came his way, and then one where he fought for the ball, jarred the ball loose, but the guy barely made a pretty circus catch there. I think it was Khalil Pimpleton. 2 catches for like 39 yards or something from Khalil Pimpleton. So we really shut the Virginia Tech transfer down big time. MAC Player of the Year or Playmaker of the Year award winning for guy last year, and we completely shut his ass down. As expected, this is LSU football. Okay. So when I see that we allowed 21 points to Central Michigan, I actually am kind of pissed off. 21 points to Central Michigan. To me, that's like in soccer, you're winning 4-0, 5-0. You know, Max has 3 goals or 3 assists, however you want to look at it. No, he'll say, Max has 3 assists, Butte with a goal. Besh with a goal. Deion Smith has 2 goals. All so on and so forth. Devontae Lee is a goal, and then you allow 2 goals at the end out of nowhere. So you're winning 5-0, and then you allow 2 goals out of nowhere, and you're just in goalkeepers going nuts. 9-9, freaking out. That to me is exactly what happened tonight. Just sloppiness. From our defense, from our offense at times, sloppiness leading to these plays that will be punished horribly. They're punished by Central Michigan. You better believe they could cost us games against Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Florida even. They'll cost us games. So we have to clean that up. Well, who was your MVP tonight? Whoever's watching, I'm not sure who's watching, but who's your MVP tonight? My MVP. Who's your MVP tonight, baby? Who's your MVP? You got Deion Smith, 5 catches, 135 yards. You got B.J. Ojulari with 2.5 sacks. Oh, and I should say the 2 touchdowns as well with Deion Smith, of course, because 2 touchdowns, baby. First 2 touchdowns as an LSU Tiger as well. Jack Besh, 9 targets, 5 catches, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Wow. Who's your MVP? Is it Corey Kiner? He gained 80 yards, but because of the 6-yard loss, only 74 net yards, but still, he was getting up there to the near 100-yard mark. And who knows, if you give him the ball 20 times, maybe he's over 130 yards, 140. Who knows with his playmaking ability? He could be near 200. Just fantastic from him. Yeah, that's the statistic I love. Just as we charted, Max with 18 first down completions. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Absolutely sexy for Max. Say what you want. I think Max Johnson has to be the MVP tonight. He needed this after people were saying some stuff. Maybe we should go to Nussmeier. Maybe we should do this. Maybe can't wait for Miles to be back. People were boo-hooing Max, saying he wasn't the quarterback they believed he could be. They believed he was or whatever. And I just think those people never even believed anything. They just were hoping he would win some games for them. But Max proved what type of quarterback he is. And he proved he's a special quarterback, making some dynamic throws to the boundary, down the sideline, some big long bomb throws. You saw long gains of 40 yards, 41 yards for the touchdown, 31 yards, 21, 28, 41 again, 15 from Butte. You saw him spreading the ball around to a plethora of guys. 26 for 35, 372 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. He did have the pick 6, but he wasn't sacked all game. That is fantastic to see. No sacks at all for Central Michigan. They did have 3 quarterback hits, and 4 pass breakups. But other than the 3 quarterback hits, couldn't lay a glove on Max Johnson. Didn't like how low those hits were, but 5 touchdowns from Max. For me, Max Johnson has to be the MVP. And, show us who your MVPs are. Jamer says my MVP would be Dion or Besh. That's probably conventional wisdom, most likely, because Dion Smith had a hell of a game. 5 catches, 135 yards. What an absolute way to announce yourself with those 2 touchdowns. And it's not only just him catching 2 touchdowns, it's the way that him and Besh caught their touchdowns, with Dion making this absolutely filthy, disgusting catch. He just roofs the guy, just whoop, right over this dude's head. It was the filthiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Shout out to my man Shay Hodge, Dion's former trainer. I've been texting him tonight. He was the first person I thought of when Dion was making those catches. I'm like, I got to hit up my man Shay. And then I hit up AD as well, because I know AD has been a huge, fervent believer of Dion. And I'm a Dion disciple as well. My God, the guy is just he's showing out. And you know what? I believe all of those freshman 5 will take turns showing out this year. I believe Brian Thomas might have a game as well like this. Malik Neighbors shows he can have a game like this with a catch like that. He's just coming back from injury. That's all. He made some dynamic plays this offseason. Jamer, she says the defense missed a good bit of the in my defense, I missed a good bit of the first half. She says Max had a great. Yeah, here's the thing. Max, a lot of his great plays came from the first half. He was just on fire to open the game and was roasting people. He was in a rhythm. The receivers were in a rhythm with him. It was beautiful. Follow us at Lon Phillips. That's where we post a ton of breaking news info and stuff like that. We also always are posting at LSUodyssey.com, where course, you got to join us there. But yeah, we're always there on Twitter with some interesting posts and things like that. You can also add us on Facebook. LSU Odyssey has its own Facebook page. It's kind of interesting over there with Facebook. Kind of weird because some of the rules over there with Mr. Zuckerberg, but we do what we can. But yeah, it was an interesting night for LSU because we put up a lot of points. Mission accomplished with the victory, but still there's some intrigue on the trenches. Still some questions in the trenches. Still some questions there. If there is anybody out there, I think who doubting Max Johnson's capabilities, I think you put on the tape from tonight to kind of show them this is what he can do. But then again, he did it against Florida last year, a number 6 ranked team. He did it against Ole Miss. Can he remain poised and confident, and can he make those throws through the bulk of the SEC schedule? I believe tonight, the confidence he's gained, I think there's no question that he can. I think there's no question that he should be more than capable of, if not winning every game, not really expecting that, at least giving LSU a chance to compete in every game. Making sure LSU is always in contention. That's something Max can definitely do, and I think with his offensive line, with the non-existent running game, I think that's the best that you can hope for. I think LSU, maybe catching 2 losses in the SEC might be the best case scenario here. But at the same time, I think LSU is littered with talent all over the board. We could potentially blow teams off the field. It's just, can we unleash that talent? Do we have the guys who know how to unleash that talent? We seriously were up by 21 before people could even blink, before people had even gotten their popcorn, before people had even put the butter on the popcorn, before people had even cracked open the sodas and the beers, and before the first bowl of the game, before the gummy bears had been opened. LSU were already just waxing Central Michigan. So it was a great sign to see LSU be dominant like that again. And not just like dominant like we were against McNeese State, where it was just kind of boring, dull, kicking someone's ass gradually type of dominance. This was fun to watch. This was entertaining. This was fiery. This was great to see. You saw Jack Besh just going nuts after some catches. You saw Max going just flipping out after some. It was a great thing to watch tonight. I think LSU fans got their time's worth, their money's worth. It felt good being a fan of this team tonight because they played up to their abilities for the most part. Max Johnson should be throwing for 5 touchdowns and for 372 yards every game. Yes, he's that good. He's that good, and he has the weapons that he should be. LSU has such talented freshmen that these freshmen could be putting up 100-yard games and scoring touchdowns. Of course. I've been saying it all offseason. And now you've got multiple freshmen with multiple touchdowns in a game. You got Jack Besh with his first touchdown here. 2 back-to-back huge performances from Besh. I've been saying it for the last year and a half. As soon as these 2021 guys committed, this class is going to be incredible, and you're seeing it. Anyone who's been a subscriber or even a reader of LSUodyssey.com knows we've been all over these receivers. Deion Smith is just one of them. We've got a great interview on there with Shay Hodge where he talks about the development of Deion and his brother Dan as well. It's right there on LSUodyssey.com. Go into our writing section and you just search, go into our exclusive interviews bar. It's right there. Shay Hodge interview. It is for free, I believe, as well to read right now. It's high octane, like 13-minute interview where he goes into great detail about Deion and his recruitment by some very, very big time schools. But Shea, he's a wide receiving trainer and teacher there at Route Precision Academy, and he knows his shit, man. I love talking to Shea, and he was the happiest guy you could think of outside of Deion and his parents. Such a big supporter and teacher of Deion. And it was a great night for him, and it was a great night for Jack Besh and his family as well. His first touchdown as a Tiger, what a dream come true. And it's got to be a great night for the Johnson family and for Max, having some vindication tonight with, just pouring it on like we should. 5 touchdowns, 372 yards, 18 first down strikes. I think there was only 2 third down completions from Max because I think we were only in a few, like 2 or 3 third down situations with Max. So it was exactly what you want to see from LSU's offense: precision, surgical annihilation, evisceration, ultimate aerial ambition, just putting that ball around, giving the receivers time and space to make plays and slice and dice. This receiving core should be the best in America. They're that talented, they're that deep, they're that good. Look at what Alabama's receivers did today. They were lackluster, they were poor, they were putting up numbers that get close to our McNeese State numbers. Okay? They get close to our UCLA numbers, and they don't even have a 100-yard guy. And they barely even played their best guy, JoJo Earl. So, LSU have a dynamic receiving core they absolutely need to take advantage and maximize and use to the fullest of its capabilities, because there's so many divine guys out there. Now they've got the tape. Now you got to figure out the matchups coming up ahead and who you can take advantage of. Identify the players on Mississippi State, those DBs, which guys can we pick on, and just simply motion the dude over to that guy. Place him on that guy. Just create the mismatch. If the team's trying to motion him away, get him over there. Put 2 guys on that same side, whatever you have to do. I don't care. Get creative. It's really not that hard. You see it, you do it. Exploit these matchups all over the field. Dominate these guys. This LSU offense could be putting up 40 points a game on every SEC opponent. I just don't know if we'll see it. They have the talent. They have the absolute high-octane magnitude of capability, but is the play calling news? Is the ingenuity? Is the innovation there? Is the cojones there? Are guys going to be able to always haul in those 50-50 passes? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. And I don't know how much this game really tells us. I'm going to have to go back and watch the tape, but it tells me a lot about LSU's mindset and mentality. It's definitely improving, at least in a collective sense as well, which is the whole thing. There's guys who are making plays for the team, setting up blocks for the team, putting themselves on the line for the team, putting their bodies on the line for the team to prevent those long gains. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes. It takes you to get dirty. It takes you to get bloody. It takes you to get messy. And that's what it takes to win football. And LSU, they got dirty. They got in the mud tonight, and they absolutely came out victors. They can sleep well tonight and feel great about what they did, putting on some awesome plays. But you know what? It's back to the drawing board. The SEC begins. The real season begins now, and we already have 1 loss, and we can't make any more mistakes. If LSU were to run the table or do something crazy like that, which I actually believe is more than possible too, I feel like this team has that talent that they could actually run the table and actually be in contention for the SEC. I actually believe that. Do I feel like it's going to happen? I feel like there's just a combination of strong opponents, bad matchups in the trenches, and just things that will go against us that will probably prevent that from happening. But at the same time, LSU, just if they keep improving, if they keep showing out this type of talent where any of these freshmen can just come out of nowhere and dominate these guys because they haven't even seen that much tape on these dudes, I don't know. This team is so mystifying and so intriguing, but the one thing that isn't very mystifying and intriguing to me is that offensive line still has some troubles, still has some problems, and that's where games are won or lost. Everybody, thank you for joining us. My name is Lon Philip Sullivan. I run LSUodyssey.com. I'm joining up here with Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, to be doing these pre-post games and a lot of other videos and stuff like that. We should be having a video with me and Mark coming out this week, coming up. But definitely go check out LSUodyssey.com. So we're pumping out the content. A lot of this stuff even goes ahead into the future where you go back and look at it and you can compare what happened and what we were saying and what may have gone down and what we got wrong, what we got right. It's very interesting. We try and keep it as entertaining as we possibly can. Definitely, if you're an LSU fan, you've got to check it out. You've got to check us out, baby. Go Tigers. It was a hell of a night. It was fun for everybody involved. Hopefully, we can clean up some of those silly kind of dumb errors on defense and things like that. And we can get better from there. Jamer, thank you so much for being in here. Without you, probably an empty show. I'm not sure how many we got in here tonight, but hopefully it was more crowded than I think. Paul, thank you for your post as well. AD, shout out to my man A Diesel. Shout out to my man, The Big Chocolate. Shout out to my man, Don Cannon. Shout out to Nurse Court. Nurse Court, she's helping people every day in these crowded, full hospitals and working crazy hours. And Nurse Court, we absolutely love you. We just wish you nothing but safety. And she's going nuts because she wants Peyton Todd to get time. She wants Peyton Todd to get in there for some snaps, the freshman punter. She's sick of seeing Avery Atkins punting in the fourth quarter and in these blowouts, and I agree with her. Get Peyton Todd the damn ball, let him punt. But everybody, thank you so much and have a hell of a weekend. Go Tigers, baby. Check us out at LSUodyssey.com, and thank you for joining us tonight. Go Tigers.